My name is Scott Knutson. I am with Signature Home Inspection. We currently do inspections in Orange County, Southern LA County, parts of Riverside County and San Bernardino, and soon to be expanding down into Northern San Diego County. So our office is located in Santa Ana. We're really central. There are 4 inspectors and we have 1 in training right now. So we do inspections for home inspections. We can do pre-listing inspections. We can do sewer scope inspections. We can do pool, methamphetamine, radon testing, mold. So we can pretty much do most of the inspections that you would need. If not, then we can find the person that needs to be coming out there for you. So as far as any questions go, if you can type those in, and then I will answer those at the end. That way it doesn't disrupt the flow of the presentation. And then at the end, I'll also give you my contact information, how you can reach us if you need to get a hold of us and so forth. And if you need a copy of this presentation, if you need the video of it, I believe OCR will provide that. If you want the PowerPoint presentation, just send me an email. And again, I'll give that information to you at the end so you can send that email. So, all right, so this class is called Safety First during the home inspections. So we're going to get started here. Course objectives. You will learn about the most common safety features in modern homes, which safety features are available, how they operate, and some emergency plans. So we're going to go over those things during this class. Regarding home safety, we're going to go over these items here. We're going to go over smoke alarms. There for a while, a lot of people were calling them smoke detectors. The proper term is actually smoke alarms. Then you're going to go over CO monitors. We're going to go over some fire extinguishers. We're going to go over some natural gas safety, as well as electrical safety, and then also discuss emergency plans. If you've ever gone in elementary school, you've probably talked about the emergency plans when you were in school. If you ever had fire drills and so forth, this is the type of emergency plans that we're going to go over. Smoke alarms. What types are there? We've got a few different types. We've got ionization smoke alarm is generally more responsive to flaming fires and heat. And then you also have a photoelectric smoke alarm, which is generally more responsive to fires that begin with a long period of smoldering called smoldering fires. So those are the 2 types. There's also a dual ionization photoelectric smoke alarms. These are more that you're going to see today. So you're going to have these Kitty brand dual ionization photoelectric smoke alarms. Smoke alarms. So why do we need them? A properly installed and maintained smoke alarm is the only thing in your home that can alert you and your family to a fire 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whether you're awake or asleep, a working smoke alarm is constantly on alert, scanning the air for fire and smoke. Some of these now have gotten even higher quality, where if you have, I don't know if they call them Google smoke alarms now or Nest. They used to be called Nest. I think that's the type that I have. But I have one on each floor where they are CO detectors and smoke alarms. And they're actually connected into my smart home to where if there's ever a smoke, if there's ever a fire or any smoke issues or anything like that, they will actually send me a text message. So one day I had a water heater that I was having installed, and when they were soldering the pipes, it actually had gone off on my 2nd floor and sent me a text. And I knew exactly what was going on because I knew what they were doing. But at the same time, it was nice that I actually got an alert. They also actually test themselves once a month and will send me the results of the test to make sure they're all working and so forth. So those are pretty nice. I'm sure you guys have come across those quite a bit, but those are some nice ones to have as well. They're a little bit pricey, but when it comes to safety, I'm okay with paying the $100 a piece. I only needed I believe 3 in my house, 1 on each floor. My 3rd floor, where it's a loft style setup, so I don't have multiple bedrooms. I just have 1 large bedroom upstairs in the loft. So I was able to get away with having just 1 on each floor. According to the National Fire Protection Association, almost 2/3 of home fire deaths resulted from fires in properties without working smoke alarms. A working smoke alarm significantly increases your chances of surviving a deadly home fire. During our during our home inspections, we make sure that we're pointing this stuff out in our reports. If there's any smoke alarms that are missing, if there are any that are damaged, if there are any that are appear to be older than 10 years old, we will call that out and make notes of that so you are aware of that in your home inspection report. We're going to go over the placement here in a second, but they're very important, and I believe that's one of the things that has to be done during repair. If that's called out, I believe, water heater straps and smoke alarms and CO detectors have to be installed. So smoke alarms, where to place them? Typically, when we're at a home inspecting, the recommendation is one in each bedroom, one in each floor in the hallway, and then one in the hallway outside the bedrooms. So if, say, for example, you have a single floor like this room here or this house right here, you would need to have one in each bedroom, and then you would have to have one in the hallway outside the bedrooms. And then if you wanted to have an additional one, you could have one in the dining room as well. If you have a 2-story, again, you'd have to have one in each bedroom, one in the hallway outside the bedrooms. The more the merrier, but you have to have one in each bedroom and then the hallway outside adjacent to the bedrooms. I need to update this image. It's not really formatting properly, but here's another image of where you would set the escape ladders, fire extinguishers, photoelectric smoke alarm, and so forth. But we're going to go over that, skip through that. So one thing is that this is not where you place a smoke alarm. Don't put it in Tupperware where you can't hear it. I know that these things always seem to be, the batteries go dead on them at the worst possible time. I had an instance once where we had moved into a home in Aliso Viejo, and we hadn't even unboxed everything yet. And in the middle of the night, never fails, 2 o'clock in the morning, start hearing that beeping sound. I went and replaced every battery. Well, actually, first of all, I had to go down to Walmart in the middle of the night to get batteries. Because I couldn't find out which ones were going on. I replaced all the ones that I could see, and the beeping still was going off. Well, it ended up being a CO detector that was in a box that we hadn't unboxed yet. So it, worst time ever was always in the middle of the night. So anyway, this is not where you place your smoke alarms. Smoke alarms. So when do you change the battery? So with the time change, this is typically when you would want to change the batteries, every time that there's a time change. Sometimes people will say change them at the beginning of the year, or change them at the beginning of the year and then on the 4th of July. That's usually a good chance, but typically during the time change. I just read an article this morning that there sounds like there's maybe some legislation that's going through that is in the House, I believe, and they may get rid of changing the clocks. So hopefully, cross our fingers, because I don't like losing all that daylight during the wintertime. It's awful. So anyway, when do you change the smoke alarm? Manufacturers suggest, so if you have a smoke alarm that appears to be over 10 years old, it's always recommended that you change it out. A good sign is that if you see one that used to be white and it's now yellow, that's a good indicator that it's over 10 years old. So we will typically try to do an estimation on these. And if we feel that it's over 10 years old, we'd make that recommendation. Smoke alarms, new laws, effective January 1st, 2014, Senate Bill number 745, Chapter 183, smoke alarms that have a 10-year lifespan, power source or a non-removable, non-replaceable battery that lasts for 10 years. So the new ones now will have a power source or a non-removable, non-replaceable battery that lasts for 10 years. Information taken from the National Fire Protection Agency. You can go to these websites if you want to take a look at some of this information about smoke alarms, and also the U.S. Fire Administration. See here. I was just checking the chat here because I heard a couple beeps. All right, so carbon monoxide monitors. These are something that we see missing quite a bit. With this, the recommendation is that you are supposed to have one on each floor. So, for example, if you have a townhome and you have, say, for example, the first floor where you only have just the entryway, you still need one on that floor. And then you would need another one on the second and then another one on the third. So me personally, if I had a single floor home, I would probably put one near the utility, like the furnace and the water heater, and then one on the opposite end of the house or one near the bedroom. There's a lot of questions about where these should be placed. You should, each one is different. So what you'd have to do is just open up the package and it will be based on manufacturer recommendations. So whatever, so say for example, the Kitty brand here, you would want to take out the packaging and you would want to read through it and it'll tell you where it should be placed. Some of the ones that go on the side of the wall that are, you see them on the wall, I think they usually recommend 5 feet above the ground. Sometimes we see them at 2 feet. It's not adequate. You need to go 5 feet. So again, based on manufacturer recommendations. We also see a lot of times where we'll see the plugins. Keep in mind, just because they're plugged in at the time of the walkthrough or time of the inspection does not mean that they won't disappear after everything's done. So you'd want to probably during that final walkthrough, make sure that they're still there. If they're not, then I would ask for them to install those because they need to be there. I have seen it before to where we'll go out and do a home inspection and we'll see the smoke alarm or the CO detector still in the brand new packaging and set on the kitchen counter or up on the bathroom counter, and they think that's good. It's not good. They have to be installed. They can't just be in a package. If they're not installed, we're writing it up, and also the appraiser is probably going to write it up as well if they're not installed. So they have to be installed, because the problem with that is that, yeah, okay, they're there, but they could disappear as soon as we leave. So keep that in mind, and that's something that I would double check. Whenever you do a home inspection with us, we have a checklist that we attach to the report. It's just a PDF file. And one of them is like a measurement sheet to where clients can use it to do some measuring when they're at the house. And we also have a final walkthrough checklist to where they can actually go through, and the checklist is on there to where during their final walkthrough, they can go through and check that. If you guys want a copy of that, PDF copy to make prints and hand that out, I can more than happy send that to you as well. CO monitors. What is CO? So US CPSC, Consumer Product Safety Commission, carbon monoxide is deadly, colorless, odorless, poisonous gas. It is produced by the incomplete burning of various fuels, including coal, wood, charcoal, oil, kerosene, propane, and natural gas. Products and equipment powered by internal combustion engines, such as portable generators, cars, lawnmowers, and power washers also produce CO. So CO monitors, how do they work? Basically, if the levels get too high, the alarm will get set off. It never fails when at the, it always seems like whenever it starts to get cold, you start seeing in the news where a family either passed away or barely made it out alive, and the neighbor had to go in and save them. If the CO detectors were in the house working the way they should, you shouldn't have any of those issues. That's what they're there for. Make sure you read the specific manufacturer specifications, like I mentioned earlier, on where these should be installed. We're going to go over through this pretty quickly. Some of this stuff is kind of numbers and probably not real exciting to know. I'm not a big numbers guy. But anyway, so CO monitors, concentration and time of exposure, parts per million, kind of give you an idea. So 9 ppm, EPA residential standard, not to exceed 9 ppm in 8 hours. So that's the residential standard. 35 ppm, EPA residential standard, not to exceed 35 ppm in 1 hour. And then you've got 50 ppm OSHA workplace standard, not to exceed 50 ppm in 8 hour period. If you get up to a 200 ppm, you start getting a slight headache, fatigue, dizziness, and nausea after 2 to 3 hours. Once you get up to 400, you get the frontal headaches within 1 to 2 hours, life-threatening after 3 hours. Once you get up to 800, you have dizziness. Sorry, I was tongue-tied there for a second. Nausea, convulsions within 45 minutes, unconsciousness within 2 hours, death within 2 to 3 hours. So, and then when you get up to 1600, headache, dizziness, nausea within 20 minutes, death within 1 hour. So definitely not something you'd want to mess around with. Make sure your CO monitors are in the proper place and the batteries are changed frequently. So what does CO does to the human body? So basically, here you go. You've got the red blood cell, you've got the carbon monoxide, the deadly fumes, and it basically attacks the red blood cell. Why do we need them? Well, you need them in certain areas of the house. So potential sources of carbon monoxide, it's there to protect you. It's there to make your home safe. Some potential sources, you have a range hood, you have clothes dryer, you have portable heater. If you've got an indoor grill, water heaters, fireplaces, attached garage, furnaces, chimneys. So all this can create carbon CO. Where to put them? We talked about this earlier. Again, manufacturer recommendation, but in the state of California, you should have one on each floor. If CO poisoning is suspected, open windows and doors for fresh air, leave the house and call 911. If you suspect it, get out of the house, open the windows, get that ventilated. All right, so fire extinguishers. A couple images of fire extinguishers. We're going to go through the different types. So you've got the dry chemical, the types of fires that they typically work on is the normal combustibles, the burning liquids, and the charged electrical. CO, so carbon dioxide, types of fires, normal combustible, not as efficient as a dry chemical, burning liquids, and charged electrical. Let's see. And then you also have some of the older ones, the pressurized water, carry them on fire apparatus. We don't see those too much. And then also you have a few other ones. Halon, not typically seen outside of large businesses with expensive electronic equipment. This would be in an area where there's a lot of servers and so forth with electronics. And then wet chemical, generally seen in restaurant business. So how do you use them? I don't know if you've ever used them. I've actually got in trouble once in high school because I was messing around and somebody was giving me a hard time and we were kind of playing back and forth, and I had taken one and I didn't mean to pull on it, but for some reason, I don't know what happened. I guess I did pull the trigger and it just went all over the locker room. So anyway, if you ever need to use them, you use basically the pass method. So pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep side to side. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze, and then sweep side to side. Natural gas safety. So where's your shutoff? This is something that in our reports, we make a notes of where all the shutoffs are. So if we have a water meter shut off, if we have the main water shut off, if we have the gas meter shut off, if we have the electrical sub panels, we will note this in all of our home inspection reports and we'll show the client on site. For natural gas safety, if you're not aware of this, they're typically on the left side of the house, right side of the house, rear. You rarely see them in the front unless they're older homes. Sometimes you'll see them on the front out by the driveway, underneath the grate, inside the ground. But on a newer construction, see how you've got this house and this house, they run the gas line through the middle of the house so they can connect both of them. And then same with on the other side of the house. So on the other one, you'll have the two that will run down the middle. So, but typically you're going to have your gas meters on the left. They're usually on the left or right side. How do you turn it off? This is important to know. First of all, you want to make sure that you have a crescent wrench or you have some kind of wrench that's either near the meter. So they've got something you can actually buy and you can actually chain it onto the gas meter. Or if you're like most people, you might have a junk drawer that you know where all your stuff is, or if you know where your tools are, that way you should have like a crescent wrench to where you can have access to that pretty quickly. So the way to know if it's on or off is basically see how this, and when it's in the on, it's with the flow of the gas. And then when it's off, it's against the flow. So if you've got, sorry, you got gas flowing through this pipe here, say, for example, right through here, this is in the off position. If they're going to turn it on, it's going to turn it on like this. So on a gas, usually when you have, what do they, they always say righty tighty, lefty loosey. On the gas meter shut off, it doesn't matter which way you turn it. You can turn it left or right. Natural gas safety. Why is it important? Well, the last thing you want to do is to blow up the building or blow up the house. I don't recommend, for example, if there's for some reason something's off, I don't recommend that you go in there with your matches or your lighter and start lighting pilots. If it's off, it's usually off for a reason. We don't light pilots as home inspectors. It's just a liability that we're not willing to take on. Now, do we know how to do it? Yes, we know how to do it, but usually it's off for a reason. So if you want to have that lit, I would recommend asking the seller if they can provide evidence that it's actually working. We will turn the gas to make sure that there's gas running, say, for example, to the fireplace, but we're not lighting the fireplace. It's just not something that we're willing to do. And again, it's liability reasons. So, but with that, I'll give you an example. There was one time where I did an inspection for, he was a captain of the fire department. I don't remember which city it was. But I asked him, I said, whatever happens when there's a house fire, regarding the gas? He goes, we will sit outside in the fire truck, and that house could burn down before we even get out of the truck, unless we know for sure that that gas has been turned off. So they won't even attempt to try to get rid of the or to try to put the fire out until they know that the gas has been turned off first. So that just goes to tell you that they will sit in that fire truck and watch that house burn down until they get confirmation that the gas has been turned off, because they don't want it. It's too dangerous. It could blow up the whole block. Natural gas safety. So what is it used for? So again, gas on this one, you've got, gas that will go to the furnace, attached garage, fireplace, water heater, clothes dryer if it's a gas, portable heater, range hood, and so forth. Appliance safety, natural gas smell. If you have any of this information, if you want information about appliance safety or natural gas smell, if, say, for example, you smell gas in your house, call 911 and SoCal Gas at 800-427-2200. If we're doing a home inspection and we smell gas, we typically will contact the listing agent, or if the buyer's agent's there, have them contact the listing agent and let them know that they need to contact the gas company because there's a gas leak in the house. They need to have that remedy as soon as possible. If there is a significant gas leak in the house, we typically will make sure that all the doors and windows are open to air that out. And depending on how bad it is, we might have to wait and finish the inspection until the gas companies come out and fixed it. Again, safety. So electrical safety. So electrical emergency shut off. So if you ever need to shut off the electrical, there's a couple places that you can do it. So you can either do it by the main shut off, which is usually on houses today, will be outside as well. They're usually outside by the gas meter. And it would basically be this one right up here at the top. It's usually going to be like a 100 amp, 125, 150, 200. Most of them on today's homes are going to be 200 amp. And you just basically flip that switch and it'll shut everything off. If you don't have a main shut off like this, you will probably have to shut it off by the sub panel, which is usually somewhere in the house. But this is where your emergency shut off is for your electrical. So electrical safety, avoid overloading electrical circuits. Don't be like on the Christmas Story when he was plugging in that leg lamp and had all those plugs into that one outlet. That's a no-no. You don't want to do that. Inspect electrical cords and appliances for damage. So before you do any type of, before you plug in a toaster, for example, that you haven't used before, make sure that there's no damage in the cord. For example, I was out in Massachusetts last summer, had a friend that had bought a house, and a lake house. And when they bought it, they had everything. The owner had left everything. So we went into the garage, and he was looking for some pump. And I swear the pump, it was like an air pump. I swear that thing was 75 years old. I was like, I'd never seen an old pump that loud. Hey, it worked. But I made sure that everything was, cords were great, and there was no, cut cords or anything like that. So, definitely check electrical cords and appliances for damage. Do not tack cords to the wall or run them under rugs. First thing I think of is Christmas Vacation, the movie when Clark Griswold's up and he was stapling those Christmas lights to the roof. You don't want to do that kind of stuff. So, because you can easily, staple into the electrical, and then you can cause a short or a fire. And then don't run them under rugs. You see that quite a bit. And then also maintain airspace around electrical equipment such as TV, VCR, stereo, etc. So if you've got all that, make sure that there's some air in between that wall and that TV or furniture and so forth, so it doesn't get too hot. Install additional outlets by a qualified electrician to avoid using cube traps and extension cords. So we see this quite a bit in garages where somebody will install a garage door opener, and instead of running the proper electrical to power it, they just run an extension cord. We'll call that out every single time, because extension cords are not meant for permanent wiring. They're just not. They're meant for temporary. So doesn't mean that it's had any issues, but you're not supposed to do it that way. If you must use extension cords, use only the kind that have built-in circuit breakers. So if you've ever seen, similar to a blow dryer now, they've got the little built-in circuit breaker. If you must use extension cords, make sure you have those with the built-in circuit breakers. Again, if you have any special considerations or if you have any questions, you can call Southern California Edison. The phone number is there, or the website, sce.com. Emergency plan. So make a plan, make sure you have a map. I know this is kind of a generic one, but even this is better than nothing. So make sure that you have a fire escape plan for your family. It can be as easy as this. Maybe have a family night to where each kid gets to draw their own map and put it in their room so they have it that way. And then also, just like in school, test it, do a dry run. Where's the meeting place outside? If there's ever a fire or anything that you have to get out of the house, and the earthquakers, for example, earthquakes typically you don't want to go outside. You want to get underneath an arch or somewhere. But on a fire escape, you want to get out to a meeting place. So, whether it's out by the mailbox, if there's a park across the street, make sure that you have a meeting place. Emergency plan, exit routes. No 2 exit routes from all rooms. So second story ladder. If you don't have one of these, you should ideally get one. That way you have a way to get out without having to jump out. You don't want to be jumping out. I'll give you an example on no 2 exit routes from the rooms. What they used to build, say for example, you have like a Hyatt Place hotel. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but on those Hyatt Place hotels, they're kind of like a rectangular, or any Garden Inn, or any type of hotel. They're typically a rectangular shape, and they will have on each end of the building, they will have a fire escape, or they'll have elevators on each, or stairs, for example. So say, for example, if there's a fire, you typically don't use the elevator, you need to go down the stairs. Well, back then, they used to only have it at one end. They would only have stairs at one end of that rectangular. Well, what they found out was that, hey, if the fire is on that side and you can't get out, how do you get out? So now when they build homes or hotels, they have stairs on each end of that rectangle. So again, you'd always want to know where your routes are to get out. Also in houses, on some of these older houses, if the windows are too high or too small on the second floor, we will call that out, because there's instances where Say, for example, today they don't build windows, they don't put windows where they're higher than 44 inches. But sometimes we would see houses that had the windows at 50 inches. And the reason why is because they wanted at an acceptable height to where you can actually climb out if you needed to. Make sure safety bars have safety release. We see this quite a bit on some older homes. I saw it a couple weeks ago where I had to call it out on a house in Newport Beach because they had safety bars, but there was no latch to open them. So if you have safety bars on your windows, they have to have a latch so they can be opened. If not, then we have to call it out, because if that is the only window that is your way out of the house and there's no way to open those bars, then you're stuck. Emergency plan, practice, practice, practice. It's important. So again, if you have any emergencies, you can call 911. Non-emergency, find out your city's own non-emergency number. Usually you can find that just by a quick Google search. Again, on this one, Southern California Edison, 800-611-1911. So that's pretty much it. I didn't think this was going to go that long. It's typically a half hour to 45-minute class. When this class is taught in person, it's usually an hour-long class. But when I don't have any questions, it doesn't take quite as long. Let me go through here and see if I have any questions. It looks pretty like it's pretty straightforward. If you guys have any questions or you want a copy of this presentation, our website, again, if you have any questions, signaturemore.com. My phone number is 888-860-2688. My name is Scott. If you want a copy of this presentation, my email is scott@signaturemore.com. So pretty straightforward. Again, if you have any questions, if you just need an inspection, feel free to give us a call, try us out. If you want to order an inspection and you can't get a hold of us after hours, we can take inspection orders over the website 24/7, and that is tied into our the most accurate schedule on that. So, all right, thanks everybody. Have a good rest of Tuesday, and see you on the next class.